So I've just literally come off Twitter there, and I was on Micah Benson's Twitter page. And for those who don't know, Micah Benson is a very, very good source for boxing. If you're someone who likes to, be up to speed with the latest news on boxing, go on to Micah Benson's Twitter page because he always is pretty spot on with what he posts on that. And he's normally good for announcing fights or getting kind of rumors started. I don't say rumors, but normally good for getting kind of news out there. Okay, and a news story that he's just broken there in the last, I think, 20-25 minutes is that Artur Szpilka is reportedly being considered, or has been reportedly made an offer, I should say, to be an opponent for Dereck Chisora on the Dylan White Oscar Rivas undercard on July the 20th at the O2 in London. Okay? Now, this is being reported from Michael Benson, but he's actually taken the report from another website, a Twitter page as well. It's a Polish website slash Twitter page. I'm not going to try and name it, so what I'm going to leave the link to the actual tweet in the description. You can go and read it from Michael Benson's page himself. As I said, it's in Polish. I'm not even going to try and pronounce, nor am I going to try and read it. Okay? So that's kind of where we stand now. Artur Szpilka reportedly being considered an opponent for Dereck Chisora. What do you think of that fight? Artur Szpilka. I know a lot of people's memory of Artur Szpilka is him getting absolutely, damn near killed by Deontay Wilder. That was in January 2016. And Artur Szpilka hasn't done an awful lot since then. Okay, he had that loss to Deontay Wilder in the ninth round in a fight that he was quite competitive in. And there was a lot of people who felt that Artur Szpilka might have been ahead in that fight because he was very tricky, he was very awkward. And, he made Deontay Wilder miss, and only he made one mistake. And we know now it only takes one mistake with Deontay Wilder, and it's lights out. Since then, he came back a year later in July, actually, of 2017, was stopped in 4 rounds by Adam Kalnacki. We all know who that is. And since then, he had a unanimous decision over 10 rounds over a guy called Dominic Gunn. Name rings a bell, but I'm not sure if I've ever seen him. I think he's a journeyman. And then only recently there in November, he came off a split decision victory over Marius Wack. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't see that fight, but I did hear Szpilka was down in that fight. And that's one thing about Szpilka. He has been stopped and dropped before. I think he was stopped in the 10th round by Brian Jennings. Brian Jennings, not known as a big puncher. He had Szpilka down and in trouble in that fight as well. So Artur Szpilka, he's a tricky southpaw, but he's not the biggest heavyweight in the world. He's 6'3", but he does carry a little bit of fat on him. I mean, he did start his career at cruiserweight. For those who don't know, Artur Szpilka did actually, if you go on his box track, you'll see he was originally a cruiserweight. So he's not exactly the biggest heavyweight in the world. He's not a devastating puncher for the heavyweight. And, I think since that Wilder loss, because it was such a bad knockout. I mean, that's just that was one of the worst knockouts I've seen. Since then, his punch resistance has deteriorated even more because it took Kalnacki 4 rounds to stop Artur Szpilka. And if you didn't see that fight, Artur Szpilka was in very good shape. He was in even better shape against Kalnacki than he was against Wilder. And it took Kalnacki a lot less time to finish off Artur Szpilka. And as I said, obviously he had that split decision victory over Marius Wack. Marius Wack, who is a fringe contender slash European level fighter at this stage, and even then he was down in that fight. So Artur Szpilka at this stage, where would you put him? Would you put him at European level? Would you put him at fringe world level? It's hard to tell. Dereck Chisora, I know a lot of people weren't impressed with Chisora's last performance against Senan Gashi. I mean, Senan Gashi just came in there to survive. When an opponent is that negative, it's very hard to do anything about it, okay? And Dereck Chisora, that was his first fight with Dave Caldwell. There's going to be growing pains. I thought that in parts, Dereck Chisora, he looked okay. I mean, it's very hard to judge that performance, to be fair, because he was in there with someone who was so negative in Senan Gashi that, it could make anybody look bad when your opponent is that negative, because there's not really much you can do about it. Okay, so it's still hard to gauge where Chisora is at in his career, now that he's working with Dave Caldwell. But I think that Artur Szpilka, he'll come to fight, he'll make a go of it. And I think that Dereck Chisora, that's a fight he should win if that fight happens. Personally, I'll be picking Chisora to win that fight. Probably would stop him. I think Chisora, he hits probably hard enough that he would be able to hurt and stop Artur Szpilka. Artur Szpilka, if you watched him against Deontay Wilder, he was oh, he was just so full of energy in that fight for the 9 round. Well, until he did start to slow down, to be fair, towards the end of the fight, which is kind of how he got caught, as well as making a mistake. But he seemed to have so much energy. He was just bobbing, weaving, moving constantly against Wilder. I've seen the Kalnaki fight. I don't think his energy level was quite the same in that fight, even though he's in better shape. I don't think it was necessarily the same. But that's kind of the kind of guy Artur Szpilka is. He will make a go of it. He'll come to fight. But I think that Dereck Chisora, pressure will tell, I think, with Chisora. And I think that Chisora, he probably does hit hard enough to be able to bother and hurt Artur Szpilka. So should that fight happen, I'd be making Dereck Chisora a favourite in that fight, definitely. And I think it'd be a decent fight. A lot of people want to see Chisora versus Joseph Parker. I don't know where we are with that fight. I haven't had any heard at all, really, any announcements from Joseph Parker over fight dates, anything like that. So we'll kind of see where that goes. Who knows what might happen with that. I would like to see Dereck Chisora versus Joseph Parker, but we seem to be no closer to that fight than, AJ Wilder. So again, that's up in the air. If Chisora can go and do a good performance and, get the win over Szpilka, who knows where he'll go from there, okay? But, again, as I said, this is only a report. It's not official yet, but I thought I'd make a video and get it out there anyway. Let me know what you think down below. Would you be interested in seeing this fight? And if so, who do you think would win? Do you think I'm selling Szpilka short? Do you think you could actually, give Chisora a challenge? Do you think Chisora is finished? Do you think he's had it as a fighter? Let me know down in the comment section down below. As always, if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and as always, I will talk to you after.